Excellent. We're live and we're ready to start.
Thank you, Benton. Welcome. The time is 2:05.
This conference will now be recorded.
Time is 2:05 on November 9th, 2020, and we're pleased to be holding the Dietetics Advisory Council virtually.
I'm sorry, I just muted Miss Maggie's microphone because that seemed to be where the interference was coming from.
Okay, thanks, Ben. Judy Nagy.
Here.
Susan Fenn.
Here.
Ashley Pax.
Here.
David Ryerson. Mary John Ludy.
Here.
Carmen Clutter. And Kathy Shalito. The minutes you should have received from the August 2020 meeting were sent to you in advance for your review. If there are any questions or not any questions or concerns, could I please get a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
In a second.
And I'll second.
Thank you, Mary John. The motion's approved.
Can we have just a quick voice vote on that? Just a couple of people saying yes, please.
Do you want to know?
No, we just need to
approved it, and Mary John Ludy seconded it.
Excellent. Can we just have a quick vote to approve the motion?
Thank you.
If they could just voice vote if people saying yay or nay.
Vote for approval, please.
Judy Nagy.
That'll work.
I got some thumbs up too.
Thank you. That'll do. Thank you very much.
Now, Chelsea Wansky will give who is our legislative director, will give our legislative update.
Right. Hit the wrong button there. Good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to provide the legislative update. Over the past month, the policy team has been preparing for the lame duck session, which begins tomorrow. We are waiting for language to be officially added to 2 bills, and we are closely monitoring several others for legislative movement. On Senate Bill 246, this is an occupational licensing reciprocity bill. We have worked with the committee chair and the bill sponsor to work through some of our concerns regarding the retention of the board's ability to make a determination on whether or not an applicant has adequately met Ohio's qualifications for licensure. There is a substitute bill that is expected to be adopted at the next Senate committee hearing. And currently there is no meeting scheduled, but we do expect that adoption at the next scheduled meeting. The substitute bill did address some of our original concerns, but did not include all of our requested language. But we do appreciate the willingness of the sponsor and the committee chair to work with us, and we did get a few compromises. Senate Bill 364 would require Ohio to join the Interstate Medical Licensure Compact. The policy team traveled last week to meet with the bill sponsor in her district to express some of our concerns regarding this language. She did seem to understand that we have some serious concerns, and she advised that she would take all of the information that we provided into consideration. House Bill 263 is another occupational licensing bill that we continue to monitor. This bill would require the board to provide a comprehensive list of criminal offenses that would prevent a person from becoming licensed in Ohio. Since the last board meeting, we have been working with several other healthcare boards to develop a solution to this language. And House Bill 679, which is the telehealth expansion language, continues to progress through the legislature. I'm happy to report that since the last board meeting, we had requested amendments, and those amendments have been drafted by the Legislative Service Commission. And now we just wait for those amendments to be adopted into the bill. The first hearing for this bill in the Senate is in Senate Insurance, and that is scheduled for tomorrow. And I would just like to give a shout out to our board member, Mr. Ganadakis, who was instrumental in facilitating the meeting with the committee chair and the vice chair. So we'd like to thank him for that. And this concludes the legislative update.
Thank you, Chelsea. Will say too, if anyone's interested, the telehealth amendments were done by the board. We had a telehealth ad hoc committee, and those are on our YouTube page. If you're interested in
Okay,
listening to any of
good.
that. You should have received 3 documents last week for review, possibly late in the week. A fact sheet was created by OAND and given to us for use with our investigators, for them to use those as a reference in addition to the information they already have. And I'm sure you already know that we do have a past investigator for the Dietetics Commission who is a licensed dietitian on staff. And we want you to know that he's a great resource for the medical board, and his advice is sought frequently, not only by the investigators, but us as well, including me this morning. The second sheet is a bulletin number 8, and it has some general non-medical nutrition information. And then there's also a frequently asked questions document. And I know that Kay is on here, and Kay did the heavy lift on getting the fact sheet together, and I assume that she wants to add some context to it as well. Kay, can you get yourself unmuted?
Here.
Yeah.
Peg, she should be unmuted now.
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I was under the understanding that the council is going to look at the fact sheet and kind of discuss what's in it.
We can do that. I wasn't sure if you had any context you wanted to add to the fact sheet since you drafted it, but we can certainly have any type of discussion anyone's willing to have.
The context that I'd like to provide to start out, and so that the council can think about it, is how the fact sheet, the facts are related, the questions are related to the existing guidelines and just as a little bit of background, the old Ohio Board of Dietetics developed 14 documents. The bulletins are information sheets that provide information about specific topics in licensure and how they relate directly to the law. Here's the topics are on supervision of diet techs and nutrition associates, the kind of signatures that get used for persons who claim exemption, what you do in your supervised limited permit holders, unlicensed assistive personnel, and how tasks are delegated to them, but dietetic technicians, when they're practicing the guidance for nutrition care responsibilities, so dietitians can delegate to them. But there's one on the nutrition care process, one on assessing competency. So those are the guidelines. The guidelines clarify practice components that relate to the law. The bulletins clarify particular questions, and they point you to the section of the law. So there's one on nutrition exemption, weight control exemption, limited permit, and there's 7 of those. So the point I'm trying to make is that these documents exist, and the purpose of them was that they were developed because lots of times the old board got questions about these areas, and in order to be consistent in the information that's provided to either licensees or other members of the public, you could use to provide the information. When the Board of Dietetics was absorbed by the medical board, these guidelines and bulletins were posted on the website and were available to the public. And then some came down. I think it was during the time when the FAQ sheet was developed. Some of the guidelines and bulletins are referenced in some of the questions in the FAQ document. But my overall suggestion is I think more of them need to be directly reference, because when someone's looking at the question and the board needs to be as legally appropriate as possible. And since these documents already exist, it's an opportunity to link the existing documentation. So, go on. Are there questions about what I'm suggesting?
Yeah, so I have maybe more of a comment than a question. So I went to the medical board website and I was able to find the dietetics guideline C and guideline D. And I feel like it's not maybe the most user friendly, because if I was to go to the website to find information, I'd want a little bit of context on what guideline C and D are. I feel like the information that you gave us about what the guidelines and the bulletins provided was really helpful. But if I was going to look for it, I would want to know like the topic that's associated with a guideline, if that makes sense. Just looking at like C or D isn't the most useful to me as a practitioner.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Kay. I don't think I understood what you said. I think it was a little garbled.
I was wondering if Mary John was saying that she doesn't understand what the title of it reflects, or is it the content?
I think it's the link between the content and the title. Like, if I can, I don't know if I'm able to share my screen, and it doesn't look like I am, but I pulled up the information on the website that's on forms and helpful links, and it's got Dietetics Guideline C and Dietetics Guideline D. And I guess it would just be helpful to know what guidelines C and D provide before I click into it, because I guess I would want the helpful links to be a quick source of information. That makes sense. Like, too many clicks makes it harder for people to access the knowledge that they want.
So maybe a description or a title instead of a letter.
Yes, absolutely. Or at least a description along with the letter. And I think the other things that are there that Kay mentioned, I mean, there are only guideline C and guideline D that are on the website now. But if all these other documents have been developed, it might be helpful to provide that information too.
Ms. Moody, this is Benton. If you wanted to share a document, I could make you a presenter on this meeting, and it should allow you to present a document if you want to do that.
Sure, that's fine. I was just going to share the view of the website that I was on to I guess maybe orient everybody else to what I'm seeing, if that's helpful.
So it was clarity you're talking about, Mary John, right?
Yes. Sue has filled in the right words for me. Yeah. Clarity is what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay. And I think that is understood. I'm getting that message. Thank you.
Okay.
And Mary John, I'm not exactly sure from the medical board's perspective how they expect people to travel through. You know, are the questions the most likely entry into asking questions and then linking to the guidelines and bulletins? I think that's probably likely, because the FAQ seems to be a rather friendly, short answer area where you can get a short answer. But my concern is I think then you do need to easily be able to link it. And by referencing these guidelines and bulletins in each question and then being able to click on it and get to it, I think that's would make it much more user-friendly.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Thank you for sharing that, Kay.
Are there any other comments on any of the 3 documents that we can?
I mean, I have a number of comments on the FAQ. Well, maybe not like a number, but maybe I have 3 or 4 comments on the FAQ document.
Would it be easier for you to send them interspersed with the FAQ for email so we could take a look at it and try to fix it and send it back? Not now, but later.
Yeah, maybe later. I haven't written them down particularly well, but
Yeah.
I could, yeah.
Let's take the opportunity then for people to give their comments through emails, because I think it'll be easier for us to process then, and that's something we can communicate back and keep a dialogue going until we get this where we want it to be.
Yeah. Did you tell me that Kay, you worked on these?
Kay worked on the fact sheet.
Fact sheet. Okay.
They have input into the fact sheet quite a long time ago, and I've made some suggestions. But I also think, as the council, you need to make sure you still want to have all these guidelines and bulletins. You know, there may be some that you don't want anymore. I would make a suggestion about one that might not be necessary. And that is a bulletin about the licensure relative to government. I'm sorry. It's one of the bulletins. I think the council might want to look at each of the topics and make sure that those topics are still what you want to focus on and provide information to, and to ask the staff and the medical board, is that what you're still getting questions on?
Okay, thank you, Kay.
So would it make sense for our group to review all of the guidelines and the bulletins? Like, is that something that could be sent out to us?
You can feel free to do that if you want, and then send any suggestions you have to me, and we can take a look at them and see what we need to do going forward. We want to make sure that we're being succinct and comprehensive, and as you said, user-friendly, so that when people have like a one-stop shop to be able to get information. So any way that you could help us do that, we'd be happy to hear your views. Anything else on the 3 documents? Then we'll kind of table that and work together. On license renewals, that was the next thing I wanted to mention. As of today, we have 1,437 licensed dietitians that still need to renew their licenses by December 1st. And I want to thank Kay and Pat and the association for every time we email them, which has been about once a week, letting them know how many people still need to register, that they've been trying to get the word out for us. We certainly don't want to end up in a situation where we end up with people losing their licenses and having a difficult situation. So we've got until December 1st to get everybody renewed. And then once everyone gets renewed, your regular license cycle continues. Whatever date you were supposed to register before, right, the date that you continue to register.
So Jill, how does this compare to normal years, like the 1437 not being renewed? Does renewal tend to happen in the last days, or are we at a higher level than normal?
I don't know for sure because I haven't compared the numbers. I think I would assume we're at a higher level than normal, just because I think some people just forgot because of the pandemic and we extended it out. And it's not, I think people, put it on their calendars. We send out reminders, and I think we're out of our regular cycle in life in general and specifically around license renewal. So we're trying to do everything we can to make sure that we catch everybody.
Yeah, I know for our association, there's a newsletter coming out in a week or so. So we'll be sure that the license renewal reminder is there too.
Thank you. I think we're doing a pretty good job. I'm really kind of surprised at how many we've gotten in and continue to get in. And we've sent out, and you guys may have even gotten them, specific emails to individuals reminding them to update their license. But
And are there areas that they don't appear to be responding? Is there a certain category? Just across the board.
just across the board, yeah. So we're going to continue, and we appreciate everyone's help trying to get that out. We don't want to lose anybody.
No.
There are three, sorry, I live in Hogarth and we're under attack right now. There are three dietetic rules that you guys have already looked at that will be filed with the Common Sense Initiative office later this week, and they'll also be posted on our website. One is, they're all amended. One is continuing education. One is around limited permits. And one is around standards of professional performance. And I don't know when your newsletter is going out, but the public comments are due on November 23rd. And I could get you the link, Mary John, if that's something that you want to put in your newsletter so that they can hit the link and then make any comments that they wanted to. Okay, I will send that out to you as well. That's always helpful, getting out the word when there's a comment period. I will get that out to you when it gets posted. Then on to our next meeting, which is in December, which, on with the pandemic, the craziness that we have all been enduring this year. Absent further intervention by the legislature during their lame duck session, the medical board will have to plan to resume our compliance with Ohio's existing open meetings laws after the expiration of the directive that's allowing us to do this online now. The expiration, along with the licenses, is December 1st of 2020. So we do have the next meeting scheduled, and I think Sierra may have contacted you guys about it. It's scheduled for 12/7 at 2 p.m. We have reserved a room in the Rhodes lobby. And so if the legislature doesn't make any changes so we can continue to do this virtually, then we will need to have it in person so that we hit the fourth meeting of this year, which is what is in the Ohio Revised Code for us to do. But if there are any updates or changes, that's something we'll certainly let you guys know as soon as we can.
And is it like, should we be contacting our legislators about this, or I mean, what can we do?
It will be going through the legislature. I'm not sure in what bill or what mode. Are you, Chelsea?
There is a bill. I do not expect it to be passed before December 1st. So it's not likely that there is going to be legislative intervention before December 1st at this point.
So we're making plans.
It's totally fine. I can come to Columbus. It just adds about 4 hours to my life to drive down. So I appreciate the ability to meet online.
I know it does for us. I mean, just going back and forth and all of that, but we'll see what happens. But if we hear anything, we'll be sure and let you guys know ahead of time.
Thank you.
Is there any other business to come before the council today? If no, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I so move, Susan.
And a second, please.
I can second.
And I think Benton's going to make us have a voice vote.
That's me.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for your attendance, and this concludes the November 2020 meeting of the Dietetics Advisory Council. I look forward to hearing all of your comments and changes, anything that you're thinking about on the documents, so that we can work together. And
This conference is no longer being recorded.
thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And thanks for letting us have the Academy have input.
Always.